Hey there everyone, welcome back to Utility Sports. Really excited for this video, and it's a very different style of video from what we typically have on the channel. I'm a really big time basketball guy, as you guys obviously know, but I also really love basketball shoes, and I kind of wanted to bring those two things together here to commemorate Victor Wembanyama as an NBA draft prospect. This is something very different than what I've done for other NBA draft prospects in my time on YouTube, because he's just so different, so transformational, so much better. And honestly is a generational prospect, and because of that there's going to be questions about when his signature shoe is going to arrive, which is exactly the premise of this video. We're going to look at what could a potential signature shoe look like for Victor Wembanyama, when could we potentially see it, and I actually made mock-ups of designs with the three major brand companies when it comes to basketball shoes for signature athletes. That of course is Nike, Jordan, and Adidas. Currently right now there is rumors about a potential $100 million contract with Nike to be the first company to endorse Victor Wembanyama when it comes to his shoe line. Currently he does wear Nikes as well, so I think that's going to be the best place to start in this video. If you guys do enjoy this content, first of all, leave a like, smash that subscribe button as well. A lot of work went into this. In fact, I've been working on this since the end of February. I am by no means an artist, okay? But I tried really my hardest here. So it might not be the best quality, but I want you guys to kind of go into it with an open mind and think about what this could potentially look like, and just kind of do your best to envision it as what his potential shoe line could really look like. So let's hop into it here with Nikes first. I want to start by looking at the process. I actually started with a little bit of a design here from KD's, both the Aunt Pearls and then I believe it's the KD 14s. Kind of gave me the beginning process of what I wanted, and then I really wanted to incorporate a strap. You can tell as I was working through this design I did struggle a little bit coming up with a good strap idea, but then this is kind of the base I went with. And of course the first colorway I decided to go with, since he's now on the San Antonio Spurs, is a Spurs colorway. So just a disclaimer, I actually saved the Nike shoes for last when I was making them, so that's why this one does start with the Spurs colorway. But I feel like I really love the way that this one came out. The Spurs colorway is very, very beautiful in my eyes. I think there's a lot of nice color that pops. Obviously, you think of that Fiesta colorway, which is exactly what I'm titling this one here. Fiesta, it's a great vibe, and I think there's a lot of fun elements to this shoe. The strap, of course, I think does look pretty good on there. I tried playing around with the laces. I'm not very talented artistically, like I said, so it was a little bit of a struggle, but when we look at what the end result was for this shoe, I'm quite happy with the way that it turned out, basing it off of that, Spurs Fiesta color satin. Got that nice little beige base. I also do have a second base for the shoe as well that I like quite a bit. And let's dive into some of the details on the shoe here too. So I went with the gray strap because I thought, some of that gray Spurs colorway looks pretty good in there too. And when you have a really bright shoe, I think you do need some darker and dull areas of the shoe to make the other color actually pop, which is why we went kind of like a tan or beige base, and then of course the gray strap on there. I think the Nike logo looks really nice with where I centered it on the shoe, kind of combining the midsole and some of the other portions, kind of building it to the body of the base of the shoe. And of course the color really does pop here, the orange. As you can tell here too with that logo, I actually tried to mirror it as best as I can with the teal on the top, so I put it on the tongue of the shoe and then kind of used the pink as the middle base of the shoe a bit, and then the orange of course became the midsole for me because it's at the base of the shoe, the very bottom of the shoe. And then working in some of that Spurs color with the black and gray. Of course, the Nike swoosh logo is black on here, but also using some of that gray in other areas of the shoe. I feel like I really like how it turned out. And you're going to notice this alien logo on here too. What exactly is that? There's a lot of rumors right now about what his potential logo could look like. With Nike, of course, you think of LeBron James, you think of his crown, you think of Kevin Durant's signature initialing. Those are important things when it comes to branding, and I think Victor Wembanyama was wearing a shirt with an alien on it, a pink alien, which I have a colorway of a shoe for later in this video, but I was really excited to use kind of an alien in there. I do think that it's possible his shoe has some type of supernova aspect to it, so when that actually comes out, when you hear about the Wembanyama ones, there's probably going to be some supernova element to it. Our colorway here, of course, a Utility Sports colorway. I'm very happy about this one. And I do really like the way that this one turned out as well. You see kind of what I'm using here. as I go through this. Obviously the kind of traditional colors you see in our logo, just because I feel like on the channel, obviously this is not going to be a realistic Victor Wembanyama shoe colorway itself here in this one, but the one thing I do want to talk about is just like, I've had so much fun talking about him that it's been really special for me having a prospect that I care about this much. So I wanted to feel somewhat involved with it, right, with the Utility Sports colorway. And you see with the texturing here on this shoe, obviously I hope the time lapse is interesting to look at, but when we actually kind of dig into the details on this shoe, I feel like there's pretty good texturing, kind of like a rough skin look, similar to what we've seen on plenty of other shoes in the past for basketball, kind of more of like a suede type of base. That's one thing Nike has really done a lot of in the past, is texturing on the base of their shoe. You think about the Kobe 6 Protros, you think about the new LeBron 20s that are out. There's a lot of texturing in the base to kind of break it up and make it look not like it's a flat shoe. So I tried to incorporate as much of that as possible here. I think kind of just the overall shaping of the shoe helps with that too, for the most part, but obviously having that texture goes a long way. I also worked some of that into the back mid portion of the shoe, so I like the shaping of it quite a bit. Obviously you can tell some of the inspiration from the Kevin Durant shoes, because that's one player that is constantly brought up when Victor Wembanyama talks about who he watches and who he tries to model his game after. That's, I think, one really important thing to remember. And then going here into that alien picture, let's go ahead and actually zoom into that again real quick. So there's his little alien shirt that he actually posted this on his own social media on Instagram quite a while ago, a few months ago, and that's how long I've been working on this, is I knew I was going to want this picture to show you guys in a video, and then also design a shoe about. And let's go ahead and look at kind of the process here creating this one. Of course, kind of an alien colorway is what I would deem it. A lot of pink here. I know some people are going to be instantly turned off by this type of shoe. This is the type of shoe I would wear, though. Something with color. You can see here in the background, I've got, you know, my Kawhi Jelly Ranchers, and I've got a whole bunch of different shoes. But I do really like the way this one came out, and I'm very happy with the overall like pink look that it has. Obviously it does pop a lot. That pink on the actual base of the shoe is not quite as bright as that midsole, but I do really like how it is. I hope you guys are enjoying these designs. Like I said, I'm not an artist, but I tried really hard to make these shoes look good. So I hope you are enjoying at least seeing what potential shoes could look like. It's, you know, kind of mock-up fun idea. It's meant to be a fun video on the channel. And then here's that alternate colorway for the Fiesta colorway with a little bit more black involved in it. Kind of a darker shoe base, a little bit different than that beige or tan we talked about earlier. But overall, I do think it looks nice. Again, kind of that texturing on the base of the shoe, I think just really does make it pop. You're going to notice that since these are the last shoes I did, that the other shoes earlier, or that I did earlier, that you'll see a little bit later on in this video, maybe not quite as good in terms of the actual artistic talent. I feel like I did improve as I was going about this, but I do like just overall the generic look of this. And then I wanted to really commemorate Victor Wembanyama with kind of a one-of-one type of shoe, and that really required a lot of gold. And I thought gold is a perfect way to talk about Victor Wembanyama, because you think about kind of the situation this draft between him and Scoot Henderson. It almost feels like the whole time we've always looked at Victor Wembanyama as the gold medal, as the top end prize, which is exactly what I wanted it to be like in this video. So that's exactly what we did here with this shoe. Very happy with how this one turned out as well. Just looking at like the overall product here, it's just, I really like it. The gold pops. I think that the black's a really nice accent to it. And of course, you know, looking at the actual white on there too, I think the whole shoe pops. I think it matches that alien logo very well on the strap. And overall, this is one of my favorite designs I have. I really like this. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say as well. You know, between the one-of-one, the alien, the utility sports colorway, the Fiesta pack, which ones you really like. And then I wanted to finish it off with a Mets 92 colorway, of course, based on the team he's playing for in France. And I was very inspired. I've watched a lot of Mets 92 this year, to be honest, probably more so than any other prospect, honestly, even just because I've just been so enthused with watching not only Mets 92, but also, of course, just Victor, but then Bilal Coulibaly as well. So, I've paid close attention to them. Building a shoe based on this team was a lot of fun, and I'm very happy with how it actually turned out here. If you kind of look at the overall feel of it, I think it pretty well represents the jersey. Of course, I've used some of that white in there with that rough skin kind of texturing again on some of the base parts of the shoe. The yellow piping like on the midsole and then on the laces and the strap as well. Kind of, I think, exemplifies not only the logo across the chest, but also some of the piping on the jersey. And then, of course, the dark patented blue, almost really at this point synonymous in my brain with Mets 92 basketball, just because there's not a lot of teams out there that use this shade of blue, but I was really happy to use it. And that's just kind of what the Nike logos have been, the Nike design. So let's go through, refresh them real quick. We've got this Mets 92 colorway. Really love this one. We've got our 1 of 1 colorway with the gold and black and white look. Really am happy about that one as well. Then we go on to our alien colorway, of course, the bright pink inspired by that logo that he maybe teased a little bit with Nike. Again, I think a deal with Nike around $100 million. It is important to note that when LeBron James first signed his first shoe deal, it was around 7 years, $90 million. So different and more money actually here for Victor Wembanyama. It would make him the highest signature shoe deal ever for a rookie. So I think this is a really big deal, this video that we're talking about, and I wanted to have a fun way to talk about it instead of just saying, hey, he's going to sign a shoe deal. I wanted to mock up some potential shoes. Again, I think he's going to sign with Nike, which is why I wanted to showcase that. Here's the Utility Sports colorway one more time, and then there's that San Antonio Spurs Fiesta pack, which I really do love. But let's get into the next one now, and we're going to look at some Adidas's now at this spot, and I'm very happy with how the Adidas's looked as well. So to start with this one, I kind of take inspiration from James Harden's base shoe and then Kristaps Porzingis's player exclusives through Adidas. I wanted to base these shoes off of what I expected them to look like based on shoes that the companies themselves actually designed. And for Adidas, I really struggled with the midsole and what I wanted it to look like. Ultimately landed on a design that I liked quite a bit. Ended up using the Adidas logo from one of my favorite shoes of James Harden, his little gold shoes from his Volume 3 collection. And I found like a lot of love for this shoe as I was kind of going through making it, just with the type of look I had. Kind of a cookies and cream midsole there with the Oreo type look. And I'm very happy with it, using some speckle in the shoe, something that was very different. You can tell it took a long time to kind of throw this together and make this look the way that I wanted it to for the overall shoe. But that was kind of the end of what this gold one ended up looking like. I was pretty happy with the overall construction of the shoe. I think that everything I'd want it to look like is kind of how it came to fruition. It's got that taller base for a bigger player like Victor Wembanyama. But I still think it does look somewhat sleek. It's got an interesting design to it, and it's kind of got that signature Adidas look with the back midsole being a little bit further out. That's very typical, especially on a lot of Hardens right now, where the back of the shoe actually is out a little bit further. You can tell right there is something I wanted to mirror in this shoe, and I think it ended up looking pretty good. I'm very happy with the way that it ended up. And then let's jump into the next colorway. This one, just kind of more of a standard color. Shoe companies do this a lot, where they just build shoes in colors that they think people would have some interest in. And I wanted to do something different than the other colorways I kind of already had in my mind. And like a nice blue, kind of that Mets 92 blue, but a little bit lighter, with some nice gray in there. I thought looked pretty darn good. It kind of fits pretty well with San Antonio too. The fact that he is wearing that gray now. I made this shoe before we knew he was going to be playing for San Antonio, but I ended up altering that as well to kind of a white, black, and gray shoe, which perfectly fits San Antonio's kind of base colorway. Of course, not their Fiesta, but you see the work that goes into this. I mean, I spent a ton of time, months, honestly, building these shoes and designing these shoes, because I was trying to mirror them to real companies and real shoes that I've never done anything like this before, but I had a lot of fun making it. And then lastly, I wanted to add another Fiesta option. So of course I did the Fiesta options in Nike. I wanted to add some of that to my Adidas as well. So I ended up building out a Fiesta colorway. This one a little bit different because I used that teal base that I really like. And just, I think watching this shoe kind of come to fruition, it turned into pretty much everything I wanted it to be. Nice bright colors. I thought it ended up looking very good, and I was very happy with the result. You see kind of that nice pink lacing, and just overall use of the entire Fiesta color with how these Adidas ones came out. Now again, I do prefer the Nike ones over the Adidas ones, just because I felt like, first of all, I not only improved my artistic ability throughout this, but secondly, I just think that, you know, it was more likely he was going to sign with Nike, and I think their designs are just a little bit cleaner overall anyway. So I was pretty happy with how that came out. And then I do want to go to some Jordans that I made. And this was the very first beginning part for me. And I used Jason Tatum's and Luka Doncic's to work my way into what I wanted this shoe to look like. Spent a ton of time trying to mock up this shoe. I did have some struggles with it, but I knew I wanted to start first of all with an alien type of colorway, which is exactly what I did. And one thing I really want to point out here, by the midsole, I actually worked VW into the design. That's a pretty typical touch by Jordan to, I think, even pay some homage to MJ. You see with Zion, they have the Z on their shoe. With Russell Westbrook, they fit some initials in. It's a pretty typical thing that they do with their signature athletes. So I had to make sure that I fit that into Victor Wembanyama's shoe. But then I ended up working through with an alien colorway first, using a lot of green and nice bright colors. I also tried a purple and a blue. I didn't really love that though as much as I thought maybe I would. I played around with a bunch of different like art and design things. Again, this was when I first started this project, so I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I was trying to learn along the way. I think by the end I was definitely making better projects, making better looking shoes, but I am still pretty happy with how this turned out in general. Kind of the bright colorway, I know some people would not be fond of this in general, just this is not the type of shoe for everybody, but some people, I even tried working my own little alien logo in on the tongue of the shoe. I have an overhead view of this one as well, actually, that I want to take a quick look at. I was very happy with just overall how this shoe turned out, and I think for the most part it's a really, really good looking shoe. Here's the overhead version that I actually built too, kind of with a look into what it could be looking like on the inside. Very happy with the overall result. I think that I did as good of a job as I could. Now, listen, I'm not a shoe designer, but, you know, if anyone's out there hiring, I mean, you know, I'm available, but I just thought this would be a really fun way to kind of pay respect to Victor Wembanyama and how much fun I've had talking about him on the channel this year. So I hope you guys are kind of enjoying this video as we go through it. Here I have this nice Jordan red colorway that I think works pretty well for kind of what it's meant to be. You know, the Jordan brand, it's really synonymous with Chicago Bulls basketball, of course, and this is a shoe I started well before we knew where Victor was actually going to play. Of course, I've been saying San Antonio for so long, but I do think this is a pretty nice looking shoe that fits the Jordan brand pretty well. Again, has the initialing in there, and it has that nice quartet of color between the white, the gray, the black, and the red, and I just feel like all of those colors just end up looking really good together on a shoe. I'm very happy with how the laces turned out on these as well. I think it just looks like a pretty good basketball shoe, honestly. So that's kind of what those ones ended up looking like. I also played around with that back a little bit, lightened it up a hair, and then I actually went with the French design. Not really a fan of how this turned out. I tried working the French flag in, obviously, across parts of the shoe. I don't think it's like terrible. I just think that maybe I should have used a little bit darker coloring, maybe went over it a couple more times and really filled this out to a better extent. I don't hate it. I just don't necessarily love it as much, and I think that the texturing's okay. For the most part, I am pretty happy with the overall design of these shoes, and then I ended it off on actually a Mets 92 colorway, where at the end here we get to see kind of that, again, dark blue, maybe not as dark as the other shoes that we saw earlier, but another Mets 92 colorway, this time for Jordan brand, with some yellow laces in there. You know, all in all, I'm pretty happy with it. I think that it did turn out the way I was hoping. I don't know, I definitely prefer the Nikes over the other ones, but I'm interested to hear what you guys think of these. I think for the most part they all did turn out pretty well. Again, I'm not an artist, but I tried my hardest, and I hope you guys see that. There was a lot of work that went into this video, so I really do hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel as well, and we'll catch you in the very next Utility Sports video.